Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Minecraft, episode 98, right? My god. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, just 98 parts of playing the same game, talking about things, Do not worry, by the way, I, as an Asian American who came from a family of immigrants, I promise you, if you leave me in these pets' care, nothing bad is gonna happen, okay? Nothing bad is gonna happen. I promise, okay? Even though I own a book by Jessica Hagedorn called Dog Eaters, and even though that those kind of claims have been levied at Asians, and most recently Haitians, right? Nothing bad is gonna happen, right? Nothing bad is gonna happen if you leave me in any dog or cat or pet's care. Nothing of that sort. Anyways, why was that the freaking intro? Why was that the intro? That's all I'm gonna talk about, that freaking thing. It's like, come on, man, we don't need to, it's fine. let's just joke about things in November, man, because I'm sure everything is gonna be funny then. Do you know what's not funny? Freaking ESPN laying off Zach Lowe. That is something that is not funny. That is what happened in the freaking weeks since I've not recorded. Yeah, it just sucks, man. It sucks. You really just see this, change in ESPN. And as someone who just hasn't watched ESPN until like 2020, and but is someone who got in through watching ESPN, through stuff like First Take, right? Well, pretty much exclusively First Take, right? In 2020, and liking the whole I don't know, just talking head, argue sports show thing in the beginning, but just not so much now, except First Things First a little bit, right? I don't know. You can really see the change in the culture of ESPN is that they just want big personalities who can deliver viral freaking moments, right? They want clicks, they want viral moments more so. They just want personalities, they want personalities who are fun, who can talk about sports, rather than people who can truly give really good analysis and commentary and freaking be insightful and write really well, because Zach Lowe, I didn't learn about this, when I first started watching ESPN, but I guess I've been learning about it more recently, because I think in a previous episode I talked about finding this channel that archived all of Bill Simmons podcast, right? And he was someone who he worked for ESPN until 2015, right? Yeah. So I guess a little bit of context. If I were to be one of those type of YouTubers, chapter 1, television. Fast forward to 2011, right? Yeah, in 2011, Bill Simmons, who was working for ESPN and had a podcast called the BS Report, funny name, he started this website that I think was mostly aimed at basketball, but I think it was also a general it was a website where he created, where the idea was it was just a bunch of writers who would talk about sports, and also who would write about pop culture too, because I guess Bill Simmons really liked that. That's how Bill Simmons came up. He came up in the late 90s, early 2000s, in the blogging scene. Remember blogs? Remember that thing I used to do? Yeah, I remember. He came up through blogging, and that's how he got to work for ESPN. So he created Grantland, where there was like this massive collection of talent, right? There were like music journalists there. There were like people who covered pop culture, I think. There were people who but there are also people who wrote about sports. And then, you know, in basketball, Zach Lowe was one of the writers who wrote for Grantland in that day and age, right? So like Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons are kind of tied in that way. So like, and like Zach Lowe came from Grantland, you know, he was writing for them, and then I guess he got to work for ESPN, and then like in 2019 he started his own podcast called the Lowe Post. You might have heard of it. I might have mentioned it a few times. I started listening to that podcast in like 2021. Like I started listening to that podcast like in the bubble, like late 2020. Like I think like when the 2020 to 21 season was starting, I was listening to it. I listened to it then, and then it I guess is a thing until recently. Like it's weird seeing it because he was on ESPN, like on like NBA Today, like that show. Like he was on TV like only like a week ago. Like that's the thing. Like, and then this report comes out that they've decided to lay him off, right? I don't know. To me, this is way more freaking of a shock than, you know, Wojnarowski retiring, which is also another thing. And, you know, it's way more of a shock than freaking Anthony Joshua getting knocked out by Daniel Dubois. I mean, way more of a shock. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, maybe it's like mildly more shocking than The Summer I Turned Pretty being the TV adaptation of it being like a pretty good show, despite me kind of wanting it to not be that good. I'm just giving like a brief outline over things I might talk about. Oh man. And it, you know, it's also, you know, Zach Lowe getting, you know, fired from ESPN. It's way more sadder than freaking I don't know. I'm trying to make another comparison. It's not as shocking as someone going on a debate and then talking about illegal immigrants like that, and talking about, you know, not just illegal immigrants, just, I don't know, just immigrants in general, man. Like, I really don't think for a lot of people on that, you know, on the right, you know, I don't really think the distinction between illegal and legal matters. It's the whole thing of just like, you want freaking less immigrants, you know, you want less, you don't want any people to immigrate. It's like, okay, like, I mean, it'd be nice if you would just, you know, come out clean and just say that, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal. You don't want immigrants. It's fine. It's well, it's not really fine, but, you know, it's fine if that's your opinion. It's fine. You know, I'm not really of that opinion, you know, but whatever. Anyways, back to Zach Lowe. It's just sad that friggin' he got, you know, fired, basically. And ESPN really seems to freaking care about Pat McAfee and this guy who, how the hell did I miss it? How did I miss that? I don't know. I didn't watch the video, by the way. I didn't watch that IG live video, like of Shannon grunting like an ogre. It's like, look, I have better things to do in life, okay? I'm not that desperate for things. I didn't watch that video when it was posted on Twitter, okay? I mean, I don't know. He beat the allegations, did he? Like, I don't know. That's just the thing I saw on Twitter. Shannon, there were allegations about him? Really? There were allegations about Shannon Sharpe? Are you freaking like, really? Like, what? Like, what? Yeah, Shannon can do that, and freaking Pat McAfee can call Caitlin Clark a and it's like, they can still be on, like, they can still freaking be on ESPN, but freaking Zach Lowe, like, one of, like, the, you know, premier freaking basketball minds, one of the people who, like, can actually talk about basketball in an interesting and insightful way, and is, like, and, like, probably a lot of people look up to, right, in that sphere, right? It's like, nah, we don't need him. It's fine. Like, it's fine. We do not need Zach Lowe. It's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. That's just the thing. Like, ESPN would rather have Kendrick Perkins on TV doing his freaking thing, you know. They would rather just have, like, you know, I don't know. They would rather just have the entertainment side. They would rather just have Stephen A. getting angry. They would rather just have Mad Dog Russo freaking making a list about things he's angry about than freaking Zach Lowe. It's like, it's clear ESPN's priorities, man. They just want like entertaining sports personalities rather than, you know, like minds to talk about sports in a freaking intelligent freaking way. Like, not that Stephen A like can't talk about basketball in an intelligent way, but it's like, I don't know, it's just another sign of ESPN changing and like the whole face of sports media changing, right? It's like the whole thing of what's valued, like athlete podcasts are being valued rather than journalists, you know. That's the whole thing of like the Draymond's freaking new media thing, right? It's like, you do realize by like the thing with new media, it's like you're just being extremely like anti-journalist, right? It's like in Draymond's ideal world, and I feel like in a lot of athletes' ideal world, like beat reporters, journalists wouldn't exist, right? And it's like, I guess you from their perspective, like it makes sense why that athletes and journalists, like they wouldn't like journalists to begin with, and like they just feel that beat reporters and journalists are just, you know, annoying to them and serve no use to them, right? And I get the whole thing of like wanting to take control of the narrative yourself, right? That's something Angel Reese has tweeted about recently that I saw today. Another thing on the docket if I get to it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the whole like athletes taking control of their own narrative thing is cool. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have freaking people like Zach Lowe. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have people like Brian Windhorst, you know? Like, we need, like, it'd be nice to have both, you know? Like, if you want a player perspective, you can listen to a player podcast. But that's the thing, that I don't go to a freaking player podcast in order to freaking, you know, get X's and O's, man, or something. Like, I don't know. Like, it's nice to listen to someone like Zach Lowe, who has basketball people on, who knows his stuff about basketball, because I remember back in like the early days of this Let's Play series, I was so confident. I'm like, I know Stephen A knows about basketball, and then I'm like, yeah, that's kind of embarrassing to say now. It's like, yeah, no, I know that Stephen A isn't a basketball mind. Like, he isn't the basketball mind of Zach Lowe, obviously not. But you know, that was just my ignorant mind back then. Like, I realize now that like Zach Lowe is like the ideal type of person, like, to talk to in the basketball world, you know. He's the ideal type of person in any sport. Like, if anyone like has his mind, you know, like Max Kellerman for boxing, like that thing also, right? Mina Kimes for the NFL, right? Like these like people who are actually smart and freaking can talk about things in an intelligent way, and also can be entertaining at times, and also are fun to listen to, and also are like really personable, and also can work well when they're on TV. It's like, it just doesn't make sense why freaking ESPN would just look at that and just be like, yeah, no, we don't need you, it's fine. It's like, we want to clear cap space for Shams, it's fine. Shannon Sharp can have as many freaking viral freaking sex tapes as he wants, man. Like, he like, as long as nothing is shown, I guess, as long as there isn't an actual crime committed, because I was thinking about this today, yeah, because I was like watching like Bill Simmons talk about it. And yeah, like, that's probably gonna be a thing. I feel like, you know, Bill Simmons probably called up Zach and he's like, hey, look, you know, because after Grantland, yeah, I guess back to that history lesson, after Grantland, like after Bill Simmons left ESPN, he basically created this another like thing like Grantland called The Ringer. And The Ringer is this like big, it's more than a website, it's a website, but it's also a podcast network, I guess. It's like this media freaking thing where like it hosts like Bill's podcast and freaking a bunch of other stuff, you know. So like Bill Simmons probably called up Zach and he's like, look, you can freaking come out, you can freaking you're always welcome here. I'll find space for you. Hopefully he did, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the thing. What was I getting back to? Yeah, it's like, why would ESPN do this? Oh man, it's just, you know, it just needed to get that off, man. Yeah, and also I guess like if I want to just, you know, relate it to me, yeah, I talked about, yeah, listening to the Lowe Post, which led me to listening to the Hoop Collective, and like just like my process, I tweeted about it, of just like, I like so much of my time, a lot of my time the past like couple years has just been listening to the Lowe Post or listening to the Hoop Collective while I like play 2K, or like it's just been a thing. Like, that's how I've been freaking I feel like it's a vital part of my fandom as a basketball fan is getting to listen to Zach Lowe and Brian Windhorst and listen to them talk about teams and players. It's fun. It's nice. That's the thing. I don't know. It's just a nice thing, man. It's just become ingrained in my routine recently. I don't know. It's kind of been defining for my early 20s so far. Sadly, for better or for worse. I don't know. Oh, man. Yeah, so I guess that's basically my thoughts on Zach Lowe. Hopefully I didn't burn my whole voice out on him. It's fine. He deserves it, That's the thing. It sucks, man. Yeah. ESPN, sports media is truly changing, right? It's the whole thing. People just want personalities and nothing else, I guess. There's a certain brand of sports fan who just doesn't care, They just like the freaking arguments. They just like that. And early on, I did too, but it's like, eventually you're gonna have people who, realize one day they're just arguing just to argue, Like, there's absolutely no substance to it. There's no substance to it. They're arguing just because producers are like, look, it's better if you argue, man. Like, we know this topic isn't that interesting, but hey, if you can freaking make it more interesting by arguing and being passionate about things and like saying an outrageous statement here and there, it's like, why don't you do it, right? I'm sure that's just the level, rather than just like, we need a viral moment, I'm sure that's just the level of it, right? Where it's like, hey, just, they pick out questions that are interesting for TV and will incite arguments, and like JJ Redick, when he was on First Take, served a really good frickin' role of just being like, this is stupid, like you do realize that this is dumb and stupid, and then Stephen A took offense to that. It was so nice, man. But I guess that's just how it is, man. I don't know. I guess it's also me just realizing that, yeah, I'm growing out of that too. I'm just not into watching stuff just for arguments, in any freaking thing. Yeah, in any scene. Like, I'm not into watching debates. It's like, I'm not really, like, that's the thing. It's like, I know what freaking is gonna be talked about, I don't know. And I guess, like, if you want to be specific to debates, it's like, I don't know, like the Twitter conversation around that, where it's like, this person won, this person destroyed this person. It's like, okay, all right. Like, what? Like, honestly, what does it matter? Like, honestly, like, please, it's not really gonna matter. That's the thing. Even the one in June, like, it's not gonna matter if we know how the election is gonna go anyway. Like, it's not gonna matter if we know that frickin' the polling in a state is this frickin' percentage. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe there's been examples of frickin' polling like surging or in one candidate's favor due to a frickin' debate, but I don't know. I guess I've just been too desensitized. I've just been too cynical lately. Look, man, I don't know. I don't know if I've been too coy about frickin' how I think this election is gonna go. I really don't know. I really honestly do not know. It's like life. You want to be surprised, It's like the NBA season coming up, The Thunder could win it with their new additions. Maybe Philly could win it with Paul George. Maybe the Celtics are gonna repeat. Maybe Denver, after losing KCP and trusting Christian Brown to fill that role and getting Russell Westbrook, maybe they're gonna freaking become champions again. Maybe Dame and Giannis are gonna work, right? That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. That's the thing. It's going to be interesting. I guess that's all I'll say about it. Oh man, have I talked about things enough, man? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, do I need to say that the story about Haitians is made up and racist? Do I need to say that? Like, is that a thing I need to say? Do I need to reiterate that that's an extremely racist narrative that was just made up? I mean, I don't know, man. It's a thing, like, I hope people do not see me freaking chuckling as I'm saying these things and thinking like, oh, he just sees it as a joke. It's like, look, that's just, I'm sorry if it might seem like that, but that's just kind of how I talk about things. I don't know. I guess I like the primary thing with me is that, like, I feel like as the course of this series has gone on. Like, I just kind of, I just like talking about things in a somewhat interesting way, I like making myself laugh more than anything. That's the thing. It's a weird thing. I obviously, like the stuff about Haitians, is just like, why? Like, why did that? Was that a thing that got proliferated, Why did that need to be a thing, And like, what was it? What is it? Operations on illegal immigrants, transgender operations, something like that. I don't know. You see, that is a legitly kind of funny thing. That's just such a collection of words. That's like, everyone was talking about it. I guess that's why some people watch debates, right? Where it's like, I want to see the moments. I want to be in on the discourse. But it's like, I don't know. Like, if you already know who you're voting for, why would you watch a debate? Like, that's the thing. Like, that's my thing. That's my thing. It's like, I guess I understand, like, I want to see this side get obliterated. It's like, I mean, watch basketball for that. Like, honestly, watch a boxing match. Like, watch Daniel Dubois frickin' knock out Anthony Joshua and like have, the whole like Eddie Hearn just like in kind of somewhat, not really in shambles, but like Eddie Hearn just being like, well, I guess Anthony Joshua has to wait for Fury and Usyk to fight again and see what he does from there, right? Just like, and like a bunch of people in the UK, boxing people in the UK questioning Anthony Joshua and just being like, is this it for him? Is this it? Is this the end of the road? Should he retire? I don't know. Should Anthony Joshua retire, I guess? Smoothly transitioning. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to see him fight Deontay Wilder still. I really want to see him fight Deontay Wilder. That would be such a morbidly curious, interesting fight, right? Like two fighters who a lot of people have basically like near written off, right? Two fighters who, like are being talked about as like being at the very end of their careers, like more so for Wilder, but yeah, like Anthony Joshua, he's 34 going on 35. It's interesting that like he's the same age as Chris Eubank Jr. and Chris Eubank Jr. is a fighter who has not won like a world title. Like he got close one time, right? I think like George Groves, right, was like fighting George Groves and Billy Joe Saunders was like the closest he got to that. But yeah, like it's interesting how they're the same age. But yeah, should Anthony Joshua retire? I mean, he already said he isn't, right? But he just, like, after the loss, he posted a video just being like, you know what it is, I lost, but the fire in me still here. It's like, okay, all right. Like, he just responds in that same, like, way of, like, just all cleaned up, all, like, putting on a front of just, like, I'm right, I'm all right. Sometimes you lose. That's what happens. It's like, I talked about that front getting broken in like 2022 when he fought Usyk the second time, right? And he had that basically he had a meltdown, right? Where he was just like, he was talking about freaking, yeah, I grew up in London. It's like he was talking about him growing up, him being on this, like him almost like getting into a criminal lifestyle. I think like I don't know. He got like, boxing something like that. I guess you can like go back and watch it, but I don't know. Yeah. That was one time where, like, he didn't react in such a, manicured, surgical way, right? And I found that to be really interesting, but I don't know. He should, he probably just still has, like, 1 to 3 fights left, right? I think that's what Eddie Hearn said in an interview, in an IFL interview. He basically just has, like, 1 to 3 fights left. Like, what else, who else is there for him to fight? Like, it's either Fury or... Yeah, like it's basically like he like if Fury loses, I mean I would assume I would think that fight would still be a good fight, right? If Fury wins or loses, yeah, that would be a good fight, If Usyk wins, then like AJ probably should not fight Usyk for a third time. Like I feel like he should not. But yeah. yeah, if Fury wins or loses, I feel like AJ should fight Fury, and that should basically be his last fight, because there really isn't anything else. Or Wilder in my friggin' ideal world. But yeah, that's basically it. I don't know. I think that's basically Anthony Joshua's career. And like, to talk about Daniel Dubois, yeah, he is promoted by Frank Warren, a rival of Eddie Hearn, right? And like, yeah, and Daniel Dubois previously fought Usyk, and in that fight, Daniel Dubois landed a shot that a lot of people thought was a body shot, but it got ruled as a low blow, and Usyk got to recover from it, and Frank Warren thought it was a clear body shot, right? And wanted to protest it, something, yeah. But like, yeah, I think like he was someone who a lot of people had written off because in 2020 or something, 2020 or 2019, he fought Joe Joyce. And yeah, I think like he quit in that fight due to his eye, an injury to his eye. I didn't watch the fight. I'm just like recounting stuff I've read or heard or listened to. So like, I think he quit in that fight. And like, Joe Joyce was kind of seen as like, the next like new rising star in the heavyweight division, right? But it kind of hasn't turned out that way. Yeah, I think Joe Joyce lost like his most recent fight. Yeah, so like, and like, yeah, Daniel Dubois is now friggin', because what happened is that Usyk became undisputed, but he lost undisputed like a few months ago due to some sort of like sanctioning body thing. So the IBF title was on the line. So Dubois claimed the IBF title. So he technically was the champion in this fight against AJ, but he was not treated like the champion. AJ was the clear A side of the fight. The A side being like the main person of the fight. Like, if someone's the champion, they're the A side, and if someone's the challenger, they're the B side. I think that's how it works. I don't know. So like, Dubois was treated like the B side, even though he technically was the champion. So, and then by defeating Anthony Joshua by knockout. And like, I guess to talk about the fight a little bit, damn dude, he like the first round he hit him with a big like wide freaking shot, man. Like, his shots all were just look so freaking powerful and devastating, right? Because, thinking back to 5 years ago when he fought Andy Ruiz, right? Like, those like, the way AJ got knocked down in that fight was nothing like the way he got knocked down in this fight. Like, AJ looked like out freaking for most of the fight after he got knocked down, right? Like, and the final time in round 5, like, yeah, like AJ caught Dubois with a shot and like was like kind of pushing him back, but got a little too greedy and fell for a counter, right? And like, Dubois counter punched him, and then that's when he got knocked out. Yeah, and that's just how it goes, man. I saw a lot of British people memeing on it. They were like using like Premier League friggin' memes, and I'm like, damn, this is what people in the UK do. Oh man, I wonder what is the Premier League version of Celtic Shack? Like, what's the Premier League version of friggin', is it like LA Galaxy friggin' David Beckham or something? I don't know. It'd be funny to see. Like, there's like a whole like Premier League soccer. There's all these like soccer versions of NBA Twitter memes. Oh man. Oh god. Yeah. So I guess that was basically Dubois versus AJ. Another thing I got to. What else did I talk about? Yeah. I finished this series recently. Yeah, another thing I forgot to get to like in the previous episode. I think it's just because I finished the last episode like just like right after I recorded the last episode. Yeah, I finished the last episode of the first season of The Summer I Turned Pretty before I recorded the last episode, I think. Yeah, the last episode of Minecraft. So, yeah, I guess. Should I talk about that a little bit? Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I guess I just watched it just because I read the first book, but you do not need to read the book. I can't, like, my brain is so, like, locked on anime, like, as, like, the main thing I watch now. So it's just, like, I was just thinking, like, this isn't following the manga. Like, that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, wow, this is kind of, it's not following the book. It's not, it's deviating from the manga. Oh, man, that's just how far I've fallen, you know? Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool. Yeah, I don't know. The first thing I noticed about The Summer I Turned Pretty, because I think this is the first time I'm talking about the series on in this Let's Play. So yeah, I guess the one thing, it has an extremely high level of production value. For one, it just looks like a film. Like, it really does. Like, how it's produced and how it looks, it really just does look like a film. Like, just the way it's shot, right? Like, it's just so, it looks so, yeah, I don't know, expensively freaking put together. Oh man. Yeah, and like in the first like couple minutes of it, when like after like Belly is narrating, there's a shot of her and her friend Taylor in a room together, right? In her room, about to go to Cousins Beach to the summer home, and like Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift is playing, and I'm like, okay, all right, come on now, really? And like it was from then I was like, I don't want to like this. I do not want to like this series. I want this to be a series that I just find dumb, you know? And I'm like, I would rather read the book. But I don't know. It mostly didn't turn out that way. I don't know. It really did not. I don't know. I guess if I were to give like a brief like review of the series for now, after watching one season, yeah, like it's a pretty decent series. I wasn't, you know, over the moon with it, but it was good enough, you know. It was interesting enough. I liked it, you know. I guess the romance in it was cool. I don't know. Yeah, like that was the biggest way it deviated, because the book, it goes one way, and in the series it goes like I don't know, both ways and no ways at the same time. I don't know. In the series there's, yeah, I don't know if this is gonna be in the books because I haven't read the second and third one yeah so far. I don't know if I will in the near future. But yeah, there's this debutante ball that's like part of the plot line, right? And like that's kind of the finale of the series, is like showing off the debutante ball that like Belly doesn't want to do and then decides to do, and then like, yeah, the two boys who are after her, the two boys in the summer home who are brothers, who create a love triangle with her. Conrad, the older one, who's more broody and like carries a lot of weight on his shoulders that he doesn't tell anyone and just keeps it all inside. And then Jeremiah, the younger one, who's like seen as like the more fun one, but like is like, Conrad, the older brother, why is it him? It's like, okay, oh man. Yeah, I don't know. Without spoiling much, there's interesting things that go on in there. And then there's also like Belly's brother, right? Yeah, Belly's brother. And I was like looking at Belly's family. It's like, yeah, like Belly, like, yeah, Lola Tung, the actress who plays Belly, yeah, clearly like an Asian actress, right? But like, it's interesting looking at Belly's family, because like Belly's mom is, you know, Asian, right? And then Belly's brother is Asian, right? But it's like their father is like really firmly white, right? And it's like, I don't know. I don't think the genetics work like that if they're their biological children. I don't know if like how Sean looks. I don't know if the genes work like that, where like Belly's their dad, who's like this extremely white looking guy, and their mom can have a baby and it comes out like Sean. I don't know. I'm just I don't know. Maybe that's extremely ignorant of me. I'm sorry if it is, and I don't know genetics like that, but I don't know. It's fine. It's not, I mean, obviously it's not the first time it's happened in like a series, but it's just something I thought about. But yeah. Oh man, yeah, and obviously the fact that each episode was like 40 to 50 minutes, right? Like it did. That's also another thing I taught. It did not need to be that long. It really did not need to be that long, you know. But at the same time, it's not like the show never bored me. Like it never bored me, and there were never there was never any part where it's like, yeah, no, I don't really like what's going on here, or this is a bad freaking thing, you know. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I guess I think it just, I don't know. I'm just like, why is it this long? But I guess like everything in it, I generally enjoyed. You know, all the extra stuff that got added. I guess like the debutante ball. Like there's a volleyball tournament in the middle of it, and like Liz Tamania plays. Oh man. And like there's this subplot where Belly's brother, yeah, Belly's brother Steven, like is playing poker with a bunch of rich white kids from the beach, right? And then he loses his money. I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be supposedly some commentary on class, right? That the fact that Belly and her family aren't as rich as the families on Cousins Beach, that place, which is in Massachusetts, right? Also, did I talk about, yeah, when I was talking about the book, did I talk about this character called Red Sox Girl? There's this character in the book and in the series called, yeah, who's colloquially called Red Sox Girl, but yeah, her real name's Nicole, but I just kept on thinking of her as Red Sox Girl. Yeah, so she's a girl who Conrad is with for a period of time, the older brother. And like, I don't know, I guess I just liked thinking of her as Red Sox Girl throughout the series, and she's one of the debutantes, and like she's one of the few black characters, and I guess like she was a cool character in the series. Yeah, so I guess anything else about the Summer I Turned Pretty that I found interesting? Yeah, I found Belly's mom interesting. Yeah, that's also another way that the series is expanded upon from the books, right? Like, I was thinking throughout it. Like, was, you know, because Jenny Han was involved with this series. Like, I think she, I don't know. Like, I think, like, I heard that, like, she was on set for this series, and she was involved way more than just, you know, being on set and just, you know, she was involved in the production of the series, I think, to some extent. So, like, I was thinking, like, did Jenny Han, like, intentionally, like, is Belly's mom intentionally supposed to be an XP, basically? Is supposed to be, like, an indirect way, indirect, like, XP of Jenny Han? Like, is that what Belly's mom is supposed to be? because it's interesting that, yeah, Belly's mom in the series is a writer, right? She's an author, right? And then like her storyline is that she meets another author, right, who's Filipino, right? And then like has like a steamy freaking fling with him. It's like, I don't know, man. I just found it interesting that, yeah, that's a thing. And like in an early episode, like Belly's mom and like Conrad and Jeremiah's mom, like they have like this like deep friendship, right? And that's also another part that I enjoyed, right? The fact, like, whenever the adults were talking, like the scenes with the adults were like actually pretty like good. I don't know, like I don't know if Jenny Han was more involved in that, but yeah, it really was really nice, like seeing them. Like there's an episode where they go out to a bar, right? Like, I don't know. Like, all of those scenes seemed like were really interesting. Yeah. I was just wondering that. like was Jenny Han somewhat involved in making Belly's mom to be, like, indirectly, like, a reference to her, you know? Yeah, so overall I enjoyed it. It's like one of the few series I've actually watched this year. Yeah, I finished it before I finished Exo Kitty. Yeah, I thought, look, man, I really want Exo Kitty to be better than The Summer I Turned Pretty, just from a, you know, the personal perspective, you know? I don't know. But, like, I guess that's another thing. I kind of like Belly as a character in the series, you know? Like, the way she, like, kind of, you know, her whole personality. Yeah, I feel like they, like, did a better job at, like, capturing it in the series than in the book, you know, because in the book it doesn't, like her person, I don't know, like you can't really like, you know, get a full-on like grasp of like her humor in the book, you know. I don't think like she was as humorous or as like her, you know, fun side was like out in the book as it is in the series, you know. Maybe that's just like the translation from literature to the screen, but I don't know. I guess that's just a job of good acting. So, you know, I was also watching like, I just looked up the series on YouTube and just like, as it is, like, just found some like of these dumb like interviews, right? It's like the cast of The Samurai Turned Pretty do this, you know? Oh man, I guess that's just how you engage in freaking these shows now. Like, it's like they do all these like small little BuzzFeed type like freaking interviews. It's like they answer questions about themselves. They freaking eat chicken wings. They go to another place to eat chicken. It's like, goddamn, like you have to eat chicken all the damn time, Sans. Donald Duck was freaking like, why? Like, why did 20 million people watch that? It's like, I don't know. Just things, man. Just freaking things. Oh man, I don't know. Just yeah. Overall, I enjoyed The Samurai Turned Pretty, I guess. There you go. I just had to talk about that since I didn't talk about it in previous episodes, and I was like watching it for like a couple months. I watched like an episode every like week or two or something. Yeah, and it was only 7 episodes, but yeah. Anyways, I guess I might just talk about more things. I don't know, somewhere. Maybe the Twitter segment. I don't know. I don't know if there's gonna be any fun tweets. I haven't been liking. I've read recently. Yeah, I only read one book since the last episode. Yeah, but it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I talked about it. Yeah, I talked about starting to read the Joy Luck Club last episode, and I guess I finished that. Yeah, that's the only book I finished since recording the last episode. And I guess I should just talk about it in depth a little bit, you know, and just give it a little bit of my thoughts. Because if I'm not going to express it in writing, I might as well express it in the format of a Minecraft Let's Play video. Because where else are you going to find someone talking about the Joy Luck Club in a Minecraft Let's Play video? I dare you to find one. I dare you. Wilbur isn't doing it. I don't know. Yeah. If only Stampy could do it. If only Squid could do it. You know, if only the creatures could do it. If only Ethos Lab could do it. But, you know, sometimes people have to do these things. So the Joy Luck Club, yeah. Yeah, I guess I was like rushing through it last time. The Joy Luck Club is about this group of women, this group of Chinese women who grew up in China but then immigrated to the US. You know, after experiencing a lot of, you know, trauma. I guess like now it's called trauma, but just after having like pretty eventful childhoods, like growing up and experiencing World War II and like Japan invading China when they were like in their like teens, 20s, right? And like they leave for America and end up in San Francisco. And then, the main, I guess like the quote main character's mother, the main character, Jingmei Wu, her mother starts this thing called the Joy Luck Club, which is this meeting of these 4 women every week, and then they play mahjong, right? That's the game. Like, they play mahjong, and then they eat a bunch of food, they make a bunch of food, eat a bunch of food, and talk about and just like have fun, because like they've had a lot of pain in their lives, you know. So like for this one day they can forget about all of that and just focus on just playing mahjong and just, you know, enjoying their time. So basically, yeah, like, but that kind of isn't just what happens in the story. Yeah, the book is basically a collection of short stories, which I enjoy. Maybe not like short stories, but just, yeah, the book is a collection of stories. It's kind of like, you know, there's other books that have this format. Yeah, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, basically. And the book I read earlier in the year, Wild Meat and the Bully Burgers, is like a book, a novel, like told in the format of just a bunch of stories, right? That aren't necessarily like related. Yeah. So basically you have the 4 mothers who have their own stories in the book, and then you have the daughters who have their own stories, right? And like each story is tied to either the mother a mother or one of their daughters, right? And it's really nice to see like the connections, and like 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 basically like the first section is stories of the mothers in China growing up, right? And then the second section is the stories of their daughters growing up as children, and then the third section is the stories of the daughters like as adults and their lives as adults. And then the fourth section is a section of stories of the mothers in their old age looking back on being children. But like it kind of like the stories start with like them talking in the present, right? And like the quote main character of Jingmei Wu, her mother died, so instead of her mother having a story, she just has this like this slot gets filled in with her story. Like the last story in the book is about Jingmei traveling to Shanghai with a pair of tickets, because the story is called A Pair of Tickets, and I actually read it in 2020. I didn't realize it, but I realized it as I was reading the book, that like, oh, I actually read that after seeing the title. So the very last story is about Jingmei like traveling to Shanghai with her father and like trying to like find the pair of twin daughters, to find her mother's daughters that she left behind in China, who are twins. So like at the very end, it shows her like reconnecting with them and meeting them for the very first time. So that's cool. I guess I just wanted to share like some highlights of it. Obviously I really enjoyed it. Obviously like Amy Tan is like, her writing, her writing is like really like filling. I don't know. It's weird to think about that. I don't know. It's I guess like it's one way I thought of it, right? The way Amy Tan's prose is, it's like, I don't know, her words just like they really do feel like you're just eating a meal, right? And it's like very like filling. It's not like eating fast food, I don't know what writer would be like eating fast food. That can be used in a good way or a bad way, I don't know. But I just really enjoyed the prose of, just like how Amy Tan, as a Chinese American writer, can write the Chinese American experience of the daughters, and also just like write the like Chinese experience of the mothers like in an extremely well written way. And like the way that in like the like fourth section of the story where it's about the mothers, and like it's just really fun seeing like contrasting the daughters' views on their mothers and like the mothers' views on their daughters. There's one really good story in the last section. I think it's one of the mothers, Ying St. Clair, right? And like her story in the first section, the Moon Lady, was like really good, but like I love her story in the last section, which is called Waiting in the Trees. And like I love just like what I love about it is just the repetition of that phrase, right? And like just I guess basically to somewhat spoil it, I guess, is like it starts with her like this woman Ying like as an old woman, just like starting out. She starts off the story saying like, I know things before they happen. I know that I know what's gonna happen before it happens, right? And then like and that's the same thing like her daughter says that like, my mother says that she can sense things before they happen, right? And then like I don't know, just like the way the phrase like presents itself, right? She said, she talks about like because it's like two perspectives on an incident, because in a previous story of her daughter Lena, it's a section about Lena and her husband like arguing about something, and it's like a really fun thing. Like it's another story. I guess I'm just going off about this because it's just fun to talk about literature that isn't discoursed about and isn't written by people who are really on Twitter. But not that that's a bad thing, but still. This story by Lena is called, I think it's called Rice Husband. It's called Rice Husband, and I think like it's about, I might be mixing it up. I guess I'll if I'm mixing it up, I'll correct it. But yeah, it's basically about her, this woman Lena, and her husband. Yeah, Lena, the Chinese American daughter, right? So she marries this man, and then and the husband has this bright idea of like, we're gonna split everything down the middle. Everything I buy, like I'll pay for, or something. Like we'll pay for each of our own things. We won't. We'll keep our finances wholly separate. And like a funny thing that happens in that story is that like they have to keep track of their everything they buy and their expenses, right? And then like the husband, like in his list of expenses that he writes down, he lists ice cream, right? And then it's like, so like if he lists ice cream, that means that Lena has to pay for it, and if Lena lists something, that means her husband has to pay for it. So like, but like at the end of the story, they argue about it, and they're like I don't even eat the ice cream you're buying. Like, why am I paying for it? Like, why am I paying for that? It's like, I hate ice cream. I hate eating it. Like it just goes to waste. Why do I have to pay for you freaking getting ice cream? And then her husband's like, I thought you were eating it, and yeah, and basically just makes them rethink about, the way they freaking do that in their marriage, right? And like, yeah. In the later story with her mom, with Lena's mother, Ying Ying St. Clair, right? She just keeps on repeating this phrase, of waiting in the trees, right? And like, I just love that, like, as an old woman, she just maintains like her, sense of pride, and like her, she's just like, my daughter isn't as beautiful as me, right? She basically says something to that effect, and like by the end of it, she's like talking about her perspective, like upon listening to that argument that they have in that other story, right? And then she's just like, and then she says something like, I'm listening to my daughter and her husband. They're talking about nothing. Soon there will be a vase that breaks on this table because this table is not good. and then I'll be there. I'll question her. I'll be waiting in the trees. She just repeats that phrase, and I just love that phrase. Waiting in the trees, man. I don't know. That's just the ways I just really like stories, just like when there's like a phrase that resonates, right? And then like you see like, oh wow, that's why this story is called that. Like that, like it just leaves such a stronger, like resonant image of a story or a piece of writing in your mind when you can make that connection, right? Yeah, like another way that like manifests itself with me is like in Jing Mei's story. Yeah, about her growing up. It's called Two Kinds, right? And then like it references her mother, just like when like it's basically like her mother trying to get her to do all of these things as a child in order to see if she's a prodigy, and see if she can be a prodigy in anything, right? So like one of the things is that she freaking makes her do piano lessons and like tries to get her to be good at piano, and then like Jing Mei hates it. She doesn't want to do piano, and then like by the end of the story, right, like her mom forces her to go up on the piano and practice, right? And then like they're like arguing, and then her mother says there are only two kinds of daughters: obedient daughters and daughters who follow their own mind. There can only be one type of daughter in this house: obedient daughter, right? And it's like, I don't know, I just really like just how like phrases in stories can just like present themselves and like, be like, oh, that's why it's called that, Yeah, there's another. Yeah, I talked about this story before, but there's a really good short story, probably one of my favorite short stories I've read by a Filipino author, Evelina Galang, right? Which is the title of a short story collection. Yeah, the short story Her Wild American Self. I just really love that phrase, just like how that phrase like makes you think of the story, right? Her Wild American Self, I'm sure you can guess like what that story would be about just by guessing the title, or just by thinking about the title. So I guess that's my somewhat review of the Joy Luck Club. I really liked reading about it. Yeah, it was great. Sometimes you just need to read these classics there, and I hope like when people talk about like classic literature. Like I hope like this is like also what they're mentioning, right? Like I don't know, I wouldn't think that freaking classic literature right now in the year 2024 like only means freaking stuff that came out in like the early 1900s or stuff that came out like in the 1900s and before. Like I don't know, there's a tweet like that I saw on Twitter that people that I saw quote tweeted where someone just tweeted like, how do you read classics, right? It's like I don't know, how do you read classics? And I'm like, I don't know, it's like the Joy Luck Club is a piece of classic literature. That's like a classic piece of literature. It came out in 1989. It's not that freaking long ago. Like I don't know, I wonder just like how like old like the people who are readers nowadays are like choosing to read these books, you know. I don't know. I guess that's the thing. I guess like another thing I've been thinking about is that, you know, like I'm choosing to read these like older books that came out like in like the 80s and 90s, and like I don't know, like I think about, yeah, when I'm choosing to read when I'm specifically choosing to read adult contemporary literature, right? Adult literary fiction, right? I'm choosing to read all these books that have come out in like the 80s and 90s, and particularly like my area of like interest is reading about like, you know, books from diaspora authors and diaspora stories, you know. I talked about, yeah, like the books I've read in that vein, yeah, Wild Meat and the Bully Burgers and American Son, and, you know, like books like that, like The Gangster of Love from previously, you know, from the year in 2023, right? Like I just really like reading those types of books. And I just think like whenever I'm looking for adult fiction nowadays, there's like a few check marks that like I have to hit in my mind. They like that are like unofficial but also official. Like one is that if an adult fiction book has come out post 2010, like it kind of like lessens significantly my chance at giving it a shot. Like it really does. Like, you know, that's the thing. Like that's one. Yeah, number two is basically, is it from like a diaspora type author, which can be expanded to like, you know, is it from is it from someone other than like a white American author, basically, right? Like if it's from someone other than a white American author, I'm way more likely to get it. The third thing is basically like the cover, right? Is it illustrated in the way that like certain adult freaking covers are, even like literary fiction covers are now, where it's like a blur of colors, right? like if it's not like that and it has a cover that's not like that, then I'm way more inclined to buy it. Like those are just like a few of the freaking like factors that go into me trying to get and read more adult fiction books nowadays. Like I'm just like, I'll just read all the stuff from the 80s and 90s by authors, you know, like Latin American authors, Asian authors, you know, authors from, you know, the Middle East, India, right? Like I'll just read that. I guess I read a book this year that came out in 2014. Yeah, like Half Girlfriend by this Indian author. Yeah, Shaitan Bhagat. But like I don't know, like there are a few freaking books I have that break that rule. But like mostly when I'm trying to find more adult fiction books to read, like I usually adhere to those rules. Okay, like I'm sorry. I guess like everyone has rules, man. Everyone has rules they follow, either officially or unofficially. Those are just mine. Yeah. So hopefully I talked about the Joy Luck Club enough. Oh man. Oh, come on. Yeah, just freaking zombies being noisy. Yeah, so anything else? I talked about the Oasis reunion. Did I talk about the Oasis reuniting? Yeah, I did. I talked about Linkin Park's new singer and the controversy associated. There is controversy associated with that. I don't need to go too much in depth. You can just look it up on your own if you're interested. Oh, man. Music I've been into, man. Instead, yeah, like relating to Oasis and Britpop, I have not been listening to that. I've been listening to Landfill Indie. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's just a couple bands. Yeah, Maximo Park is a band. Yeah, that I started listening to like really like last year, like a lot more. Their first album, A Certain Trigger, the songs like Apply Some Pressure, really good. Graffiti, like a song later, The Coast Is Always Changing, really good song. And their second album, which has a really good first song, Girls Who Play Guitar, Books from Boxes, the third song on their second album. Yeah. And like also another band that I discovered in like 2020 from that Vice article I talked about last episode. Oh man, about like the top like 50 landfill indie songs. Yeah, this band called The Rakes. Oh man, and they released their first album, Capture, release in 2005. And just 2005, such a freaking year for freaking albums, man. Such a year for music in more ways than one. But yeah, I've been really liking the first. Yeah, I did not know that the intro song, yeah, the first song on that album goes so hard. Strasbourg, yeah, and I noticed that like there's a lot of like British bands who make songs about German cities that are like really good. So like the Rakes have a song called Strasbourg. Block Party has a song called Kreuzberg about a city with a wall that's not freaking, yeah, that's, yeah, there's a city with a wall, kind of like East and West Berlin, like, but not, I don't know. And then this band called Editors, which basically is just the British version of Interpol. Like if you listen to them, like, and if you listen to Interpol, it's like they're literally kind of, they're like a shade away from being an Interpol cover band. Which is something the Vice article mentioned. And like they have this song called Munich, yeah, which is also another city in Germany. So like, yeah, things with friggin' British bands and like making songs about German cities that are really good. Yeah. And like the song from that first Rakes album, 22 Grand Job, you know, it's less than 2 minutes long. It's just 1 minute and 40 seconds long, but I don't know, man. Like it's just, it feels like a novelty. It feels like just a jokey ass thing, but I don't know. Like the more you listen to it, it's like, yeah, are they making some sort of commentary here about, you know, the economy? Are they making a commentary here? Oh man. I don't know. Yeah, I think the Rakes might be slightly underrated. I think they're, for a landfill indie band from the UK, they might be slightly underrated. So yeah. Oh man, I guess that's basically all I needed to discuss. Yeah, the WNBA playoffs. Yeah. Do I need to talk about more about this freaking toxic fans being racist against freaking, you know, do I really need to discuss it, man? Like Alyssa Thomas, yeah, after the Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever in 2 games in the playoffs, Caitlin Clark's rookie season is officially over. She can finally go back to, she can finally not play basketball for a few months. She can finally just take a break from things, but she probably won't take that much of a break. But hopefully she gets time to rest and just friggin' do stuff for her. Hopefully, man. I don't know. Hopefully she does. Like, she needs a lengthy off season, man. That's just what she needs. But yeah, like after the Connecticut Sun won that series, Alyssa Thomas was in a post-game press conference and she was talking about the Sun as a team being professional against like the amount of freaking like hate comments and like just toxic, just straight up racism that has been going on against the Sun as a team and like their players, right? Obviously, like her, Dejanay Carrington, obviously I talked about her talking about that toxic fan base before, and like since then she literally tweeted after a game, the Fever have the worst fans in the W. Ew. Like she literally tweeted that, you know? She literally tweeted that. Like that's the thing, man. And it's like, yeah, it's hard. You honestly can't deny it. You can't, like, it's just, there's just too much evidence mounting to deny that this is just like a thing that happens, you know, once per frickin'. It's like, no, like it's a lot of people. It's a significant portion of frickin' like quote fans that aren't really fans, that just want to latch onto this because they want to frickin' either directly or indirectly like shit on black women. It's like it's not, yeah, it's just obviously just not a good thing. Like it's all under the guise of like, we love Caitlin Clark so much and we're supporting Caitlin Clark so much, you know, and like anyone who criticizes her in a dumb way, you know, anyone who criticizes her or isn't over the moon about her or isn't like being a stan about her, like we're gonna find anything and say anything about you that's freaking negative and mean, and just like at the very extreme end of it, just like be straight up racist. It's like come on, man. It's like, why does the WNBA have to have this, man? It's like, why? And I think I was watching a clip with Andrea Carter, right, talking about it, and it's like, yeah, I agree with her sentiment of just saying like, look, it's fine if the game grows slower. We don't need those fans. We don't need those quote fans in there. Like they're not truly fans of basketball. They're not like you might think they are, but they're just in it for just like latching onto Caitlin Clark, and you know, and like that's all they're in it for. Like they're not truly in it to see anything else. They just want to see Caitlin Clark be good, and that's it. They don't really even care about the rest of the Fever team, you know, because they're the same fans when the Fever was like a bad team and like losing a bunch of games. They're like, Christy Sides needs to be fired. You know, it's like, this coach Christy Sides, she doesn't know what they're doing. And then they make a run to the playoffs, and it's like, oh, suddenly freaking people aren't calling for her to be fired anymore. Suddenly those toxic fans aren't calling for her to be fired anymore. It's like, yeah, like I'm sure freaking her teammates, Caitlin Clark's teammates, yeah, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, were getting like criticism too from those same like people pretending to be like basketball fans, right? It's like please, like we know, like it's so clear to see. It's like these people are just only in it for Caitlin Clark and nothing else. And if you're only in it for her and just to see her be good, like why even watch the WNBA? Why even freaking like why? Like you should like we don't like the WNBA as a growing fandom does not need those types of fans, right? It's like why can't the WNBA have fans that are people who just like watching basketball and not much else, you know, and have no freaking agenda to push, and are not in it to freaking hype up Caitlin Clark and shit on Angel Reese whenever freaking. It's like, come on, like why is it so hard, man? I don't know. Like, yeah, and it's a thing that like I feel like another thing getting shared that I'm kind of starting to like agree with more and more is that like, you know, it's clear that like when Paige Beckers like enters the league, right? Like she's not gonna have this toxic level of a stan fandom, right? Like she's not gonna have that, right? And yeah, that's the thing. And like a few people on Twitter are saying that Caitlin, Paige, and like Haley Van Lith aren't gonna get those same type of fans because Paige and Haley, they're the type of players and people who are willing to speak out about these kinds of issues more. Like they're the types of people who are willing to do that more than Caitlin has or has done or, you know, will, right? And it's like, yeah, I am kind of starting to agree with that. And I might be like convinced to thinking that maybe Caitlin does need to say something, but it absolutely is not her responsibility. Like that's the thing. I think that's the thing I was talking about before with what Dejanay said, like the crux of it. Like, is it Caitlin Clark's responsibility to like, you know, try to stop her toxic fan base, you know, from freaking being racist to Alyssa Thomas and Dejanay Carrington, right? Like, would it be appreciated, right? I'm sure Dejanay would appreciate it if Caitlin like DM'd her, or like Caitlin tweeted out publicly like, hey, stop freaking being mean to Dejanay Carrington. Stop saying things about her. It's like, please stop, right? Like, I'm sure like Dejanay would appreciate that, but I don't know. I think, man, it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, it's fine. Like, let's let the like I think the whole concept of grow the game. It's like, okay, no, like we don't need to grow the game, man. Let the game grow with fans who actually care, you know, about basketball, other than just one freaking player, other than just seeing one player be good and like trying to find any reason. Yeah, even if freaking Cheryl Swoops hasn't been the biggest fan, even if frickin' Dejanay Carrington has said things, even if frickin' all of this, right? It's like, it doesn't frickin' excuse frickin' the amount of frickin' toxicity around frickin' that whoever is like, you know, just overly staining Caitlin Clark to that extent, right? Because there was a picture tweeted, yeah, I wonder if I can find it. There literally was like a picture tweeted of like a woman in like the crowd of a playoff game between the Sun and the Fever who was like wearing like extra long fake nails to mock Dejanay, right? It's like what in what, like, how do you explain that? How do you explain that other than freaking Dejanay has taken shots at Caitlin Clark and this woman is just freaking going out of her way to freaking make fun of her? Like, you can't explain that in any other way. It's like that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, you know, that's the thing. It's just not a good thing. It's not. Yeah, and like hopefully, like when Paige Beckers enters the league, there isn't gonna be this like toxic like part of, you know, a fan base, right? Like I would not think there would be, right? And like people brought up before how like Paige, like, you know, was raised in a way where she, you know, knows her privilege and she acknowledges her privilege, and that's something that Caitlin hasn't done as much, right? You know. But I still believe, I'm still of the opinion of like, does Caitlin need to recognize her privilege and acknowledge her privilege as like a morally like right thing to do, right? And I guess I'm like, it would be nice, but I'm not gonna look at her negatively for not doing it. I'm not gonna look at Caitlin Clark negatively for friggin' choosing not to do it and stay silent, because I'm sure there's a part of her that realizes that a lot of her fans are freaking, you know, like that. But that's the thing, like there was a controversy. There was controversy, a tiny bit of controversy. She was asked by a freaking reporter, of all things, about liking a tweet, about liking Taylor Swift's tweet endorsing Kamala Harris, right? And it's like, huh, like, why do you need to ask her about that? Why do you need to incite this shit? It's like, please. Like, stop. And then like there were like a tiny bit of cases of like some of Caitlin Clark's fan base being like, why would you do this? I do not want to. I'm questioning my support for you. There was like a non-zero amount of people doing that, right? And it's like, yeah, like that's how you can tell, like that, like they're latching on to Caitlin Clark, they're latching on to Caitlin Clark for freaking not good reasons, you know, basically, to put it mildly. Like that's the thing. You know, like a part of her fan base will always, like, the negative part of her fan base will always be about trying to shit on black women, right? Trying to you know, like being freaking overtly racist just to players of another team, just because those players like have made some like you know snide comments here and there, right? It's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Please. Anyways, I guess that's basically what's going on in the WNBA. Are the Aces going to beat the Liberty, or are the Liberty going to get revenge on the Las Vegas Aces in their second round series before the finals? That will determine who goes to the WNBA finals. Yeah, I actually did get to watch a little bit of the playoffs. Yeah, I watched some of the game ones and game twos, right? And like, yeah, it seems that the Aces are in their postseason form of like being really dangerous, right? After having somewhat of a rocky regular season. and the Liberty too. They seem to be in really good shape. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Like if I were to think about it, I don't know. I think that the Aces aren't gonna win the championship this year. I don't know. I would just go against the Aces three-peating. You know, I think it's gonna be another team, either the Liberty. I think it's either gonna be the Liberty or the Lynx, right? Bold to assume like either two teams out of the four remaining are gonna win, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, like if I were to make a pick, I would slightly favor the Liberty to beat the Aces, and I would, and if it's the Liberty versus the Sun, I think the Liberty would win. If it's the Liberty versus the Lynx, like the Lynx, I would think the Lynx have a better chance at winning because they beat the Liberty in like the Commissioner's Cup. Maybe that matters. Maybe that doesn't matter. But I don't know. I guess that's my very basic analysis that's not up to par of the standards of the dunker spot, but you know, it's fine. Oh man, anything else I need to talk about before freaking I leave? I guess I talked about a lot, right? Yeah, just enough. You know. Oh man, yeah, I don't know. Anything else that has happened? Debates are dumb. College athletes, man. I'm just checking my timeline right now, man. Oh god. Heartbreaking. The lyrics you misheard are way cooler than what they actually are. Okay, cool. What have I liked? What have I liked recently? The conversation about AI begins and ends with the SpongeBob episode where King Neptune mass produces hundreds of disgusting Krabby Patties through magic, and SpongeBob hand makes one delicious Krabby Patty with love. Oh man. There's a good tweet about, there's someone who tweeted, why is academic writing so awful? As someone who currently has to read a bunch of academic writing in their current state of education, there's someone who had a quote tweet, and like, I guess, basically, I don't want to read it outright, but like the quote tweet is basically like in a joking way, like using a bunch of academic words, being like, this is why academic writing is hard to read, and you know, it's just using like a bunch of freaking big words that make it hard to read. I'm sorry, but the Scholastic Book Fair did not inspire a love of reading. It created my love of shopping. Oh man. Yeah, that's the thing with the Scholastic Book Fair, man. I don't know, like, it mostly, I just remember wanting to buy, you know, oh man, stamped as Gen Z, Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, yes. I think I bought the yellow one there, yeah, bought the yellow one at a book fair once. But like really what I wanted to buy from the book fair when I went was like the stuff that weren't books. Yeah, like all like there were like these like pointer fingers, you know, that I really wanted to get. Yeah, like those were like the things I wanted to get more so than just books. Do you have a flavor? I have the concept of a flavor. God damn. I hate when you're watching something and the character is getting a text from someone and it shows on screen as their first message ever sent between them. But sometimes it is the first text message. Yeah. But yeah, obviously, like, you know, messages, yeah, you should have like a history. That's something that Life is Strange does, is that they actually, you know, if you scroll up, like, it's like there's a history of the two people like talking on a true text message, and it's not just like, oh, this is the very first text he ever sent. Did I watch it? Did I read this? Yeah, My Dress Up Darling has some of the most uplifting messages. Yeah, I had to watch. Yeah, I read that thing about My Dress Up Darling and people misinterpreting My Dress Up Darling. I think so, at least. Yeah. Also, yeah, I guess on the manga front, yeah, I read not this first volume, but a little bit of the second volume of this thing called Blue Box, which is this manga that's getting an anime adaptation in like 2 weeks. Yeah, the anime is airing in the fall season in October, and it's basically, all I know about it, it's a Shonen Jump series. It's a romance series in Shonen Jump, of all things, right? Like Shonen Jump, the like yeah, basically. But like just because something is Shonen Jump doesn't mean there can't be like romances in there, you know, like published in Shonen Jump, right? There's been like, I think like, there's been other series published in Shonen Jump before that are romances, but yeah, it's basically just romance between. It's about this romance between this guy who's a badminton player, yeah. This guy in high school who's a badminton player, and then this girl who's a basketball player, and I'm like, sold immediately. Immediately freaking sold. If it's gonna have the tone of like Baby Steps, right? I'm like, okay, good. Really freaking good start. I'm immediately sold. And I just read like a few chapters that weren't like the first like few chapters. I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Oh, man. Should I talk about the animated series I've been watching? Just not that interesting. I don't know. I'm watching the series called Too Many Losing Heroines. And it's about a guy befriending a bunch of girls who got rejected and became losing heroines. I don't know. Oh, man. Just too much, man. Anything else being tweeted? I just have too many of the friggin' engagement friggin' tweets, man. Oh, man. Too many, man. Too many, man. Too many freaking things about things that aren't interesting, man. I don't know. I just don't know why I just don't want to freaking just call it and freaking block stuff. Oh, yeah. How did I not talk about Derrick Rose retiring? Yeah. Shout out to Derrick Rose for being the youngest MVP in NBA history and retiring recently. Really sad. You know, I didn't necessarily get to watch Derrick Rose play in his prime when I was younger, but I remember, like, Derrick Rose was one of the names of basketball players I knew back in, like, 2012 when I was, like, playing 2K a little bit, but mostly playing Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas, you know? My dad caught me smoking a J. I told him Derrick Rose retired. He sat down and hit that with me. Oh, man. Oh, man. A woman whose real name is Kaylee, I learned, was a lot of people's new favorite parasocial cuddly toy. And then she went, hey, I'm a person. Give me some space. And also here are my extremely reasonable political opinions. And some of the can't make a phone call squad are really struggling with that. Can't make a phone call? What does that mean? Yeah. You mean like, I don't know. Like to your local representative, I guess? Yeah. Being intimidated. Okay, yeah. Oh, man. Why are you scared of your sous chef? There you go. Fill in the blank on that. Oh, man. Yeah, and like related to what I talked about with, you know, recent WNBA fandom, yeah. Brittany Griner's also talking about it. Someone who's a Celtics fan said ESPN keeping Kendrick Perkins over Zach Lowe might be worse than the Sixers keeping Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. Anything else before I freaking go? Oh, man. Maggie Smith? Something? A character? Yeah. A person who is famous. Should have been gay famous, not mainstream. Famous straight people ruin everything. Oh, man. Okay, alright, okay. I think I'm good, man. Goddamn. It's fine. I don't need to talk about what everyone else was talking about. I already talked about the Joy Luck Club. Who was talking about that, man? Other than a bunch of people back then. Yeah, but not necessarily in 2024 in a Minecraft Let's Play, you know, wearing this particular skin. Yeah. Oh, man, I guess that was a nice freaking thing. I'll try to freaking get more freaking videos out, mainly just finishing Life is Strange, but yeah, I'll try to get that out. I'm just in somewhat an interesting state in my life right now, due to circumstances. I don't know. Maybe I'll get into it later on, but yeah, anyways. I guess that's basically the episode. Anything interesting to end it on before I go? Anything? Just why is my Twitter feed like this? Why? Why can't it be fixed? It was just so much better. I feel like it was so much better in 2022. I don't know. Interesting how that happens. Yeah. Very interesting how that happens. Anyways, I think that's basically it for this episode. So, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next episode.